Hey, everybody, this is Liz, and I'm back with somebody that you all know. And we're just going to catch up with Marcus today and see where he is with everything and how his business is going. So tell us where you are.
Yeah, things are going really good, Liz. It's good to talk to you again. We're going into, personally, for my Redmond franchise, we're going into our third year this year. So, 2023, we started, did just over 200,000 revenue. Last year was our second year in business, just finished with about 450,000 in revenue. And then this year, we're planning to do 800,000 in revenue, or as close as we could get to that.
What in the world? So, what's the strategy to do that?
It's funny you say that. I just had a really, really good coaching call with Brian Connor, and I got
Mm-hmm.
all my marketing down. 15,000 will be spent, in the first 2 or 3 months of springtime. Most of that will, about 10,000 of that will be, one person full time just doing door hangers, and
Mm-hmm.
then 2,000 each for Facebook ads, Google local services, Google ads, stuff like that, just to kind of see what works. Fortunately, I haven't really had to do a whole lot of marketing. Like last year, as Mike Andes talks about, um, if you get a whole bunch of Google reviews in your second year of business, you'll have this sort of springboard effect where you just get so many leads just organically through Google. So I didn't really do hardly any marketing last year, which was really nice. But I also don't really know what I'm doing when it comes to marketing. So I'm testing out a lot of different stuff. And I just bought 2 trucks. They're getting the decals and the paint, and we got the ramp racks and everything ready to go for them. Gonna have 5 total. Probably get a 6 truck late spring, and then that'll bring us to capacity for being able to hire, get up to about 9 or 10 guys.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And how many did you end the season with?
Ended the season with 4. Right now, I have 3, which is I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty happy with that because there's nothing going on right now. Um,
100%. Did you do
yeah,
any kind of winter tracks, in any of the Christmas lights, or did you do nothing, or how did your winter go for you?
yeah, I'm just doing winter services. Fortunately, it's kind of crazy. We got like a once in a decade storm in late November that brought down a whole bunch of trees and branches. And
Mm,
what's really nice is that's right when we were transitioning from mowing to winter services. So all we
yes.
retained, I think we had about 120 clients at the end of the year for recurring mowing, and we retained all of
Fantastic.
them. So mostly
And did you
retained.
did
Yeah.
you do, initial cleanups for all of them?
Yeah, some of them got cleanups. Some of them were just little by little through the winter services. But yeah, we were able to retain quite a bit. So I was able to keep pretty much all my guys on full time, luckily.
Awesome. And so your plan to grow to 800,000, when you talked to Brian Connor, did he feel like that is really where you would need to be on your trucks and start training guys with 2 in a truck and then try to spread them all out to solo routes?
Yeah, that's going to be the tough thing. Obviously, having one person in a truck solo is more efficient than 2 in one
Yeah.
truck.
Mhm.
So we're gonna bump into like asset capacity. We're not gonna be like
Mhm.
as efficient or profitable because of that, because I only have the 5 trucks, and
Yeah.
6 trucks late spring. So it'll be basically 2 people double up in each truck for the most part. But you
Mhm.
know
And
how
are
it
you
goes when you have a
Oh,
team of
yes.
about 10, you could pretty much expect 2 of them to call out like every day almost.
Yeah, you used to be the, manager over at Bellingham location, one of the corporate ones. How many team members did you manage at a time?
I think we got up to 14 to 16 in peak springtime when I was
Mhm.
there. Um,
Yeah.
is that about what you had? I know you were the manager there before me.
Yes, I had 19 or 20, but we had 6 guys training at one time, and we paired them up with a seasoned person,
Right.
and so that was exciting, let me tell you.
Yeah, that was one of the greatest cultures ever too. I haven't had a culture like that. Aaron, Charlie, Nick, who started his own franchise, Austin, who started his
Yeah.
own franchise, like Tyler, who started his own for like crazy.
Yeah, so what have your strategies been to try to make your team cohesive and to have a good culture?
Um, I do monthly one-on-one meetings now. That's helped a lot
Mhm.
for them to go over like their goals, where they see themselves long term. Also, like when things are so boring and cold and there's nothing going on this winter, warranty services are super boring. We're also doing like next week on Monday, I'll be taking them all to breakfast and I'll be showing them like all of our goals and numbers from last year and then heading into this year, doing like more offsite meetings and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But my plan is for the springtime, because I mean, having a good culture is gonna make or break
Mhm.
my spring. So I'm gonna probably do a lot more like reward bonuses and stuff. Just try to make it as fun as possible. Right now, just about a half hour ago, we had our team meeting, and two of my guys got a 5-star Google review. So what
Fantastic.
what I do for that is if they get a Google review that mentions their name, they get to shoot free throws for an extra bonus.
How much
So
is this bonus?
so they get $30 per 5-star Google review. They had to share this one because this one mentioned too, but just simply $30 for a 5-star Google review, and then they get an extra $15 if they make a free throw, and they get 3 chances.
Nice. So
So
on these offsite meetings, do you talk about the P&L and have open book management? And when you're planning the season, do you explain everything that you're going to do?
absolutely, yeah. I try to keep it as transparent as possible. Some of them won't care, but it's also kind of nice for them, like especially a guy I just brought on a couple months ago. You kind of bring on a guy and you're just a landscape business and it's cold every morning and it's pretty boring and they don't really like, it's just there's really not a lot going on.
Yeah,
So just,
100%.
just having an offsite is good, but also like showing them the numbers, especially like we're fortunate to be in the Augusta franchise. I could show them
Mhm.
like how quickly we've grown and,
Yeah.
our franchise rankings and like our overall plan for next year and then 10 years out, 15 years out, start multiple locations and stuff. That's when their eyes light up and they're like, oh, like this isn't just like a seasonal job. Like I could actually have a career in this, which 10 years ago, you couldn't really say that in a landscape business. So we're trying to change that.
Yeah, so when your company is small like this, it's probably difficult to give them the extra things like the Audible account and to actually buy books and keep them in there because you're trying to keep your costs down. Are there things like that that you've done? Do you have an Audible account for them?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, that's one where you're exactly right. You're trying to be as frugal as you possibly can. You can't exactly have like all these perks and stuff just because all your money's being spent on
Yes.
marketing and being super frugal. But that is one where I think it's a lot more important than people realize. Like having like an education program, like an Audible, like
Mhm.
it'll pay dividends. So
Yeah.
um,
Do they listen to any of Mike's content?
yeah, I know two of them do for sure. Um, And then I know one of them is like an avid book reader on the Audible, which I'm happy.
Nice. That's
Yeah,
really good.
yeah.
So you're in Redmond, Washington, which is not far from Seattle, and you came to the Blue Collar Summit this year. Tell us what that was like for you as a franchisee and then as attendee for the summit.
It was awesome. I mean, it always just gets better and better. You would never brag, so I'll brag for you. You not only run Command Center, but you also were kind of the main person in charge for running the event and making sure everything ran smoothly. And you did an amazing job. People that were at Blue Collar Summit would know like how smoothly everything
Mhm.
worked and just the transition between speakers and asking questions. It was like so efficient and everything right after one after another. And just the whole experience it's always good. But this year especially was like, wow, like, we're very legit now. Like everything's so buttoned down and efficient, and it worked
Mhm.
really well. And then you get a speaker up on stage that's talking about one thing, and then a different speaker that comes on that's talking about a completely different subject. So just kind of being in that room, just the osmosis of being around those minds of,
Yeah.
especially I really like the stories that were shared about like, here's when I started the business, and for the first 2 years I barely made money or just lost money.
Mhm.
Now I have this like $1 million business. Like people hearing that in the audience, that just does so much for them.
Mhm. We did something a little different this year, having the workshop where Mike talked the whole day. How much did you glean from that?
The second day,
The
I think it's the
workshop.
second day. Yeah. Mike, he provided a lot of cures for seasonitis, which is to say, like a lot of home service business have like a seasonality for landscaping. Obviously, it's winter since there's nothing growing.
Mhm.
Um, I took a lot from it. I wrote down a lot. Fortunately, Mike had like a whole workbook for everybody, so he had
Mm-hmm.
multiple pages to write down, like really dial down, because people's got families or they got things going on. They don't really take the time that you really need to actually like write all those numbers down and just get like a
Mm-hmm.
overall picture of your client acquisition cost, and just plan on your marketing and everything. And curious for seasonitis, like providing adjacent services that he talks about, that are kind of easy to implement for your business, and just giving us business owners like a whole bunch of ideas. So I know for a lot of us in Augusta, we started doing Christmas lights, which I'm an exception for because during Christmas I need to be back in Montana with family. Otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, a lot of cures to seasonitis, because even when you try to go sell your business one day, somebody's going to take a look at your business and be like, "Oh, December, January, February, you lose money." Like
Yeah.
that's it's not exactly like a completely cash flowing businesses. There is a lot more risk to it, and then your business is way less valuable.
Hmm. So those of you who haven't heard Marcus before, we've interviewed together a couple times. His story's pretty phenomenal. So if you want to go back and hear that, and then we had another one where the two of us were in an airport on a layover,
Mhm.
and we had an interview then. So you definitely want to hear his story. But today, I just really wanted to touch base on where you are now. And so, what kind of things have you been listening to, learning? I know that you're really interested in really the future of the landscape industry and botany and solar. So, tell us how you're
Mhm.
doing with all those things.
Yeah, yeah. I take some like classes online. There's like Coursera and stuff, if you've heard of that, where you could take free courses through like college programs for free.
Nice.
If only I knew that right out of high school, I would have been a lot less inclined to pay, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt for college.
No kidding.
But yeah, I'm taking some courses on, plant pathology and those sorts of things. And kind of my goal long term is to have, two franchises. General managers run both of them for the most part, and then kind of have my own property with big greenhouses and stuff in which I could um, kind of work on plants. There's a lot of new technology as far as gene editing goes. I like to
Mhm.
think kind of like Mike's vision that he had a long time ago. He's like, if you could only get a grass seed and then just modify it to grow up to 2 inches in height and then just stop, then nobody
Yes.
will mow. So that's one. But I also just see myself as like, not really retiring, but just having like a property with a bunch of like greenhouses and just kind of trying to work on new plant varieties and stuff like that and create new ones, which is way
Mhm.
easier said than done, but it's something I'm interested in.
Yeah. Has that helped you in what you're doing right now, you think?
Yeah. It's more in this case, like obviously I can't, take the things I've learned and like implement them into my business um, yet. But
Yet.
it's certainly something where, these long days where it's repetitive and business is hard and it sucks and it seems like
Yeah.
you're always spending money. Coming home at the end of the day, shutting all that stuff off, closing my email for the day, I could tune into something that I really like to do,
Yeah.
which is like those sorts of courses. And I've actually been doing a lot more exercising too, and I feel much better.
That's good. Yeah, that's good for the winter up here. So
Mm-hmm.
you have huge goals. And so to break them down to now, you said that your goal would be to open two franchises. So would you do that first and then get your GMs in there and acquire the cash to then build the next portion of what you're wanting to do?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. We'll kind of take it in stages. So I'm hoping by the end of this year, once we do hit our $800,000 goal, or as close as we
Hmm.
can get to there,
Hmm.
that would pretty much justify having a general manager, um, and then making a decent amount of money in terms of profit sharing and stuff. Just turning on profit mode for this Redmond
Hmm.
business going into next year, and then next year also in springtime, having the cash to start another franchise pretty close
Hmm.
to where we are now, and then yeah, within 2 3 years, same thing. Just build that one up to 800,000 revenue, and then just keep both those franchises, and have general managers run both of them, and they'll profit enough for me to still make some money while not having to like be in the day to day as much, and also
Hmm.
providing opportunity for those GMs to learn a lot about business to hopefully start their own franchise too. Like it's also giving back.
Yeah, 100%. So when you were at Summit, we actually had you be one of the speakers as well. Can you tell us what you spoke on and what the format of that was?
Yeah, we kind of like it was Nick Reed and I. Nick Reed's a franchise in Marysville. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of. He's also the owner success manager, which for all of Augusta Nation, all 170 franchises we have now, he's um, kind of a direct help to basically all of them. He reaches out. People could ask him questions anytime. He's somebody that spent a lot of time, like me, in the original Augusta location in Bellingham, learning the field work, estimator, general manager, and then starting his own location, and then being able to like teach the whole process to everybody. He's
Mhm.
very analytically minded, so he's really
Yes.
good with numbers, providing telling the story about everything. But Nick and I kind of threw a lot of the technical stuff out of the window. Our audience was 25 and younger business
Mhm.
owners.
Mhm.
So we were in a room with them in a breakout session, and we talked mostly just about the horror stories of Nick and I starting our own franchises. Like at first, everything sucks, and Nick ran into some serious problems. He had to fire like 3 people in the same day because they were smoking
Mhm.
in his truck, and I almost cut my fingers off with the hedge trimmer. It's like, hey guys, like you're starting a business, you're all alone, it sucks. You're gonna like, you know, you're in like a service business, you might be like really labor intensive, 12-hour days, breaking your body, not getting a lot of sleep, which leads
Mhm.
to worse things. And this whole time, like, especially starting your own business, that was a really big wake up call for me. You're working like as hard as you've ever worked in your life for
Mhm.
3 months. And then you look at your profit and loss statement and you're still losing money. Like
Yeah.
that is, that is such a mind bender, especially when you're
Yeah.
just trying to get traction starting. So it's mostly for those business owners. We just talked about the emotional side of starting the business, the fact that you're alone, the fact that right after high school, most of your friends are in college and partying and having a great time while you're in the pouring rain, having a horrible time.
Yes,
It's about
exactly.
kind of telling them that, if you embrace the suck, and you go after things that are hard, that it's going to pay off huge dividends in the
Yeah.
long term. You just got to kind of stay with it. We didn't have a whole lot of structure to our talk. It's mainly
Mhm.
just comes from the heart of
Just
our story.
inspirational.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yes. So
When
you
when
talked
you were in the
about.
room, what'd you think?
Oh, I thought it was fantastic.
Oh, thanks.
And I actually had Dan Ralphs there.
Yeah.
He just came in and he was standing over to the side, and I thought, wow, for somebody to hear two people like this from where they've come from and be that articulate, I thought he has no idea really what he's hearing, and a product of Augusta and our team as a whole. Where we've all gone on to be where we are, and none of us were speakers at all
Yeah.
in front of people, and the fact that you two were able to do what you did was I was really impressed and proud.
Thank you, Liz. That really means a lot. And yeah, I do remember talking to Dan Rouse right after it ended. He very kindly gave us some advice and like things we could do better, as well as he gave us a lot of praise on our talk too, which means a lot coming from him because he was one of the main speakers on stage. He had multiple keynotes during the big conference,
Hmm.
and he's such an amazing speaker. Those who are at Blue Collar Summit knows that. So it meant a lot coming from him. Can I ask you something about conference?
Sure.
So you were kind of the main person in running everything, making sure things ran smoothly. What were you maybe some takeaways for you from kind of behind the scenes? Like what were you
Hmm.
happy about the way things run? What maybe for next year's summit you feel like you guys could do better?
Yes, so every year we try to be better. That's one of our core values. And so every year we do get better. And going to the events that we have over the last couple of years has really helped us glean things from those that we were able to implement that were really positive. And so when I came back from those, I would tell the team things we had done, and the same with Mike and Zach. And we had ideas that we implemented, and those were very successful. Our team was phenomenal. And to plan the event, I would go over things with them on a whole. And as you know, with team meetings and things, it gets very expensive to have all of your team members attend meetings. So I
Yeah.
would make videos for them of where we were in the current process. And then I would reach out to each team that I had designated. Like there would be a team for registration, and there was a team for the security, and a team for the media. So everyone had their different area of expertise, and they all knew what they were supposed to come and do. And a big thing at Augusta is that we're never inclusive just to ourselves, and that we spread out and never have people standing there talking alone. One thing we had gleaned from the different events that we had been at is Alex and Layla. It was a thing there was to make sure that during the speaking, which is respectful to the speaker, that there's no one standing out in the hall. And they would have people come by and say, "We're getting ready to start in about 5 minutes. We're going to close the doors. Please come back in." And I thought that was really good, rather than people standing out in the hall and chatting the whole time.
Yeah.
There's really 1,000 takeaways. We had a lot of people from the the other events request to play basketball or to do something that was, out of the ordinary. And so we did. We had a cold plunge, jumping into the lake, and the Bible study people had requested, and we had great feedback from surveys of what people would like to see next time. I surveyed our whole team to get their input of what they thought was good and bad. And it was good to have a lot of speakers with only 30 minutes, and just to have them, you know, be right to the point and solid for 30 minutes. I felt like Mike's workshop was really good. It was a lot of information for people coming at them really fast, but he had spent, 6 months working on it. So maybe next time we'd split it up a little bit, but yet for him, it needed to be like systematic, one after the other, to have the day really come together with a workshop for them. So I don't know if you have specific questions, but those were, it was a really positive experience overall. I never felt stressed one time, because our team was really great. And I'll probably have more sponsors next time to help us a little bit, because we make no money on the events. We just spend a lot of money. And so I hope it was a blessing to people and that they had a lot of takeaway from that. So we do have ideas of what we want to do next time. And it'll just be better. So
Yeah, absolutely. I really do think the breakout sessions had a super positive impact, not just the breakout sessions themselves, but you think like a lot of the reason people come to conferences is like the people you meet,
yeah.
you know, so say like, we did the cold plunge, the Bible study, or $1 million business owners or under 25 business owners all had different like optional breakout sessions in the morning. The people that attended those, yeah, I got some great content, but you just
Mhm.
think about the time between the end of those keynote and then when the main conference starts, how many of those time, people were just walking back to their hotel room and said hi and hey, nice to meet you, and oh, you're in my area, like you're pretty close to me and you have a separate business, like here's my phone number. Like those connections are way more important than people might think. And as somebody that I was always super introverted,
Mhm.
I didn't, I don't know. I don't, I'm getting better at it, but I didn't always like go out and try to talk to people and stuff. And I prefer just being with myself a lot, but
Mhm. Were you wearing Augusta yellow the whole time?
the whole time at conference,
Yeah.
yeah, I was.
So
Yeah.
did you have a lot of people come up to you and ask you questions or recognize you, or just what is it like to be in Augusta?
A decent amount, yeah. Yeah, a lot of people from in the franchise, a decent amount of people from outside of the franchise. I tried to make a point of like sitting with people I didn't really know.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Yeah, yeah. I met this guy in way upper Canada who deals with so much snow and a completely separate business, basically.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's those sorts of connections that you can't really put a price on those, but especially for like talking to those under 25 business owners, like, hey,
Yes,
you're here at conference, you spent this money on the flight and the ticket, like
exactly.
get people's number and then ask them questions. People love talking about themselves and their own business. Just ask them
Hmm.
and you will learn so much.
Yeah. You mentioned that your goal is 800,000 this year, and last year it was what, 250 you said, or 3?
First year we did little over 200. Last year we did 450.
Okay, so that is a huge jump for the upcoming year. And
Mhm.
obviously, when you talked to Brian Connor, did he think that was possible, reasonable?
Yeah, yeah. What's really nice too is, he has the Augusta, Georgia location as well as North Augusta, and then he's starting in Aiken, which is I think just slightly northeast of there, pretty close.
Hmm.
Um, so he's starting a whole new location, and he actually gave a talk at just the Augusta Nation
Hmm.
only conference, which is the day before the official conference started, uh, or is the same day, excuse me, in the morning. But Brian Connor, he's starting a new location, and he's like, "Here's my plan for door hangers. We're going to hand out 20,000, 30,000 door hangers. Here's all the math behind why this is a good client acquisition cost, why it's worth actually getting somebody to come in and do this full time."
Yeah.
And I'm basically like, I'm not starting like a whole new franchise from scratch here, but I do need to more than double my client base coming into the
Hmm.
spring. It's it's a lot of that guerrilla door hangers, and I just Tim Andes on our local group said he put out 50 yard signs or something, and those worked tremendously for him.
Hmm.
So
So, are
uh,
you going to try all of those and then whatever Brian suggested as well?
yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm with my about 15,000 marketing budget, maybe slightly
Hmm.
higher.
Hmm.
If you work out the numbers for like somebody that's efficient and 4 days a week doing door hangers for 3 months, that's about
Hmm.
$9,700. Um, so that's and that includes like the canvases, the door hangers themselves. So
Yeah, that's
you think,
fantastic.
yeah, you think $10,000 for one person for 3 months just to hand out door hangers and just that.
Hmm.
And I get about 160 to 180 clients from that pretty conservatively,
Hmm.
which would basically hit my goal of by May do about 80,000, 84,000 a month in revenue, which would get us pretty close to that 800 total for the year.
Yeah. So we cannot leave each other without hearing about your philosophies and where you are in your current studies. So, what have you been listening to and digesting recently?
Um, I find myself like listening on Audible a lot to like story type books. I just like being so wrapped up in somebody's story.
Mhm.
Al Pacino just came out with Sunny Boy. Have you listened to that one?
No, no, I'll
That's a
have
good
to get
one.
that one.
Yeah, that's a funny one. Green Lights, Matthew McConaughey. I must have listened to so many times.
Really?
Yeah, Steve Jobs.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, Elon Musk.
Hmm.
You read the new Elon Musk one?
I did
Yeah,
23, all 23 hours of it.
yeah, it's so good. I just, you pick a like Walter Isaacson is the author. Like,
Yeah.
listen to any one of his books, and you'll just have like the best day. So, those are the sorts of things. Can I ask you what sorts of things are you listening to? Is a lot of podcasts or books?
Yeah, so I just recently finished Anthony Fauci's book, the one that he wrote. So he wrote about his whole career, his whole medical career, and everything, and his side of all the AIDS epidemic and
Right.
COVID and everything. And now I switched to the other side, so it's from all the way from the beginning and what other people viewed of that, all the medical studies, all the illegal activity that it was basically, they call it like a scientific cartel. All the money that's rolled out, and that a lot of the diseases are not even diseases, and it's incredible. So I liked hearing the whole positive side from him or his own story, and then going and hearing the maybe more negative slant about somebody.
Yeah.
I find it very fascinating. It's pretty rare that you have that. And it's
It's
the same with, I bought ones on John F. Kennedy and the Kennedy family. So the
yeah,
same thing. I want to listen to some angles that were really positive about what they did, and then from some people that maybe spent a lot of time with them and a little more of their life. Like John F. Kennedy was very sick. He
yeah.
had multiple things wrong with him. People didn't know that. They didn't know all the treatments he had and all the pain he was in all the time. So like you said, I like to hear those stories, what people overcame to be what they were. And all we see is that person out in public doing their thing.
Right,
Sorry, what
and
were you
it's
going to say?
yeah, it's all media. So I'm really
Mhm.
glad you read that. I might listen to the same book. I know, yeah. RFK Jr. came out with like the real Anthony Fauci, and everybody was like, really
Yes.
hating Fauci, but you just, hear the story from the source. Like, listen to
Yes.
both JFK Jr.'s book and um, or Robert F. Kennedy and Fauci's book. It's
Yes.
people
Yes.
will spend their whole life on Facebook, like yelling at each other over, no, I'm right
Mm-hmm.
about this, no, I'm right about this. I kind of have this like, it's like a scary sort of dream I keep having, but it's really motivating. Is that like, I feel like, you know, I have that vision of, I'm like, 100 years old or whatever on my deathbed, and
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm about to die, and I die, and my grandkids ask, um, my son and daughter or whatever, like, what was Marcus like, what
Mm-hmm.
was what did he do? And then, my son and daughter basically like, oh yeah, he spent like most of his life on Facebook, like getting mad at people.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And like that's what they remember about you, like that's, unfortunately, it's like a lot of the path that, a decent amount of people are going down. I think social media is very, very cancerous and a lot
Mm-hmm.
than we think it is. But yeah, I mean, just kind of quitting all that and then getting on the books of like, this is what everybody says about Fauci, and then like
Mm-hmm.
actually story, you could form your own opinions, which
Yeah.
is
And do
it's
I
like
want my own opinions? Because that's all I'm hearing from those people. Like somebody asked me, how could you even stomach that book?
right,
And it did. It makes me really mad to hear some of the parts of, what went on. But it also brings a little bit of a balance to when he speaks also, because you get the human side of him.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
we're
so
all
the same
human.
with us. Yeah, I mean, you could go back and talk about Augusta and their beginnings days, 20 years from now. Well, it just all depends on who you talk to.
Right. I like to think, we're all just like slightly more sophisticated, like monkeys running around. Like, that's why there's never not going to be war. Like there's nothing logical about war, but we do it anyway. There was always
Yes.
war before. There's war now. There will always be war. We think we're logical beings, but we're really not.
Yeah, it's true. So, what would you want to share with our listeners as we wrap up today when you thought of us getting together? Where you are in your business, kind of where you are in your thoughts of life. That was pretty phenomenal what you just shared. But just leave us with something, a quote or whatever you'd like to share.
Geez, a quote. Um, I don't know if I have any quotes for you. I remember when we were working together at the Bellingham shop like years ago, 2019. I think you had a whole bunch of, yeah, like a whole notepad worth of quotes.
Hmm.
I made like a bunch of sticky notes I had on my
Yeah.
wall with quotes. I got to
Yes,
see
I
what,
did that too.
yeah. Did you? Maybe I did it
Yeah.
because you did it, but yeah, I got to get those back because sometimes quotes really help a lot. I would just say, yeah, I mean, for home service businesses, or if you're in the landscape business, just know this year is going to be hell like last year
Hmm.
was, and you're going to be
Hmm.
wanting to quit, and it's going to be horrible. But what do you want super long term? Read the book Vivid Vision, because you really dial down not just like where you see yourself long term, but a vivid vision is about having like put yourself in that place. What does it look like? Like, what do the walls look like? Are you in your dream house? Are you having like a barbecue outside with your kids on a summer night? What does it
Hmm.
smell like? Like, get all of that. That way, when you're in the worst moment of your life and you just tore something in your knee on like a 12-hour mow route or whatever, you're sitting in your truck having been rain poured on you the whole day, like
Hmm.
in your lowest low, you could always just like close your eyes, put your head against the back seat of your truck, and then just like put yourself in that place of the super long term. And
Hmm.
that those
That is
sorts of things,
awesome.
help me out so much, so much.
Yeah, so you really take to the philosophy of just envisioning yourself where you want to be.
Sure, sure. What's your wisdom? What do you got to leave the people with? Your
Oh
non-financial.
my word. My non-financial advice. I definitely believe in eating a lot of meat and lifting heavy things,
Mhm.
and I believe that you have to be consistent in those things. I
You did that. You're
um,
on the carnivore diet,
yes, still doing that. So
and
I did that.
that's only meat.
Yep. So for 7 years I did keto. And then I went on carnivore and I lost 42 pounds. So now I had to back off a little bit. So I'm more on keto now, which is adding vegetables and nuts and things
Okay.
like that, but still no fruits or very carbous vegetables like corn and carrots and that type of thing.
Sure thing. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I'm doing for that. And then I was swimming, and now I'm back to Anytime Fitness. And then I have a workout area at home with, I think it's 400 I have in my repertoire of workout videos that I do. So huge variety. So that's what
That's
I'm doing
awesome.
for that. And then my personal thing I'm really trying to change at work and professionally is to be better about receiving feedback, and we all think we're good at that until somebody tries to give us feedback. And I found that all the things that you and I listened to for all those years about teams and businesses and culture, that there comes different seasons in your life, and it's like you're tested all over again with relationship capital, where you are in the business, because your role changes. And so all of those things you implemented in that role, now it all changes and you have to rethink yourself and change yourself again. And so that's where I'm at right now.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So it is not easy. Let me
No,
tell you, it's not
not at
easy to
all.
be broken down and then to try to navigate through that to be a better person. So I am definitely not perfect.
You mean starting like a giant world class command center from scratch isn't easy? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I mean, I've
How
changed
many
before.
employees do you know? Do you have total?
Um, I had 70 in the spring, and now it's winter, so we're
Yeah.
right around, I would say, 40. And then a lot of those people, I offered a bonus to come back if they would, and then just laid a bunch of people off. I gave them three choices,
Mhm.
so they could either go to part time, which was 4 hours a day, or they could take off for all the 3 months and then just come back if they wanted with their medical benefits still intact.
Oh
Or I'd
wow.
have others come back and they would get a $2,000 bonus by not being on at all and just doing something else completely. And so only only one person went on the leave who is coming back for the 2000. Everybody else went to part-time.
Wow. That's incredible. That's a lot of
Yes.
retention.
It is. So he's just split all their hours in half, and then hiring that many people last year, if you hire 10, you're going to keep maybe 5.
Right.
So it's greatly reduced, but yeah. And that's the whole thing. You change your role in the business and you have to relearn and start from scratch. And there's that one book that we have. I don't remember the name of it, but it's the rookie. It's like something rookie smarts. And so
Mhm.
you always have to have the mentality that you're just starting and have that curiosity that you're learning from nothing again, and have that attitude when you walk into something new. So that's the way it was for Command Center when I came here. And then now there's a newer kind of thought process of the owner of Airbnb that he talked about. And we at Augusta, we try to work the owner out, just like you're trying to do, to work yourself out of the business and then just be working on the business. And that's what we teach all of Augusta Nation. But there comes a time when the businesses get really big and the owner kind of needs to jump back in and just really assess each process and have all the leads tell them what they're doing, give them reports. So most of the time in our past, Mike has put us in positions and it's just been autonomous, like take this and go, build this thing. But now he's stepping back in and we're changing some things up. And that is very difficult because we've taught Augusta Nation that, like, if you gave your email over to Command Center, you're not going to get into your email. They're going to do your email. And it's just like when he handed that stuff off to me, he never went back and took it back. And so I've been running Command Center. He's been doing his thing. And now we're working together to make Command Center better. We did that with sales. We did that with the coaching, and they're doing amazing. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
And
looking to Command
that's
Center
what I
better.
love about you guys because that's how I know like where like the franchise is going because you guys have pretty much tightened everything down. Like with Command Center, you provide like a world class service to all of us franchisees, but you're not exactly satisfied with that. That's
Oh,
why
no. We're not
that
world class yet, but we're working on it.
well, I would think so. But Elon Musk, like in his book, he talked about, yeah, like when it comes to manufacturing, like the Tesla cars,
Mhm.
you can step back in the business and he had a really cool principle. It was like you go down on the line, um, you cut like a whole bunch of stuff out, and then
Yes.
if you don't end up adding back 20% of what you cut
Mhm.
out, then you haven't cut enough.
It's
So
awesome. It's so
yeah,
true because we've done that. We did a survey with the franchisees and asked them what services at Command Center they use, which ones they use the least, and we're cutting out 5.
right.
And
Which
so
is
it
like
makes the ones that are there, like Elon, like you're saying about him, what is left of it? Can you still build the car without that excess? And you can.
which is way easier said than done because
Oh,
you have a
100%.
great product. The cars are already being made. Like everything's good. Why are we throwing ourselves way back in all this pain of remanufacturing everything? Or
Yeah.
it's
And that's another core value is do more with less. And so that's what we're trying to do and become more efficient. And we haven't made any money at Command yet, but we have just provided that as a service to the franchisees because they need that. So
yeah.
I want to tighten things up here and become better at what we're doing and more efficient as well. So
When you're trying to change the industry, you don't really have a lot of choices. It takes what it takes.
no, it so does. Okay, well, I'll let you go, and I look forward to talking to you in at the end of next year and see if you reached your goal.
All right. Likewise, Liz. All right. Thanks. I'll talk to you soon.
Have a great day.
You too. All right. Bye.
Bye.